All right, good morning everyone. Today we're going to be covering two units. The two units that we're going to be covering are CPPCL 3011 and 3019, and we're going to do them one at a time. They're what I like to call sister units or brother units. I've got my headphones on here today. I'm in sunny Merimbula, which is a very interesting place to be. We don't have any power right here at this very moment. Okay, so I'm just going to get the learner guide open. So learner guide for 3001. So these two units are clean using environmentally sustainable practices and remove waste and recyclables. Now, they are very close together. A lot of the terminology is repeated. So that's what I want you to kind of remember for this particular one is that, the terminology is repeated quite often. So there's that one there, clean using environmentally sustainable work practices. And then 3019 is the remove waste and recyclables. Now, I often talk to you about getting the concept before moving on to the content. So you always read through the table of content to understand what the concept is and what the content is going to teach you. So identify, the first thing we've got here, number one, is identify requirements for sustainable work practices. What are the requirements? What are our targets? How do we actually measure them? What are our organisation's targets and measures for sustainable work practices? The impact of our own work and the resource consumption on sustainability measures is identified and discussed with the supervisor. How to discuss with the supervisor what resource consumption is, measures to determine sustainability, the principles of environmental sustainability. So things like that, the principles of, you know that that's going to be in some test. Company policies and procedures regarding resource efficiency are identified and benefits communicated to colleagues and clients. So what's the difference between environmental sustainability and resource efficiency? The issues and the benefits of resource efficiency, organisational policies and procedures, communicating with colleagues and clients, how to comply with environmental regulations, what's expected of you, what the legislation says, and how to plan your work tasks around making sure that you're environmentally sustainable. How to deal with breaches or potential breaches of environmental regulations and how to report them according to your company's requirements. Changes to sustainable work practices to rectify those breaches. So we've, identified a breach, and now what are we going to do to rectify that breach? How to define a breach, how to report a breach, and how to resolve a breach. Now, how to contribute to resource efficiency and improvements, practical ways to increase water efficiency and minimise waste, using water for cleaning, minimising accumulation of waste. Your own waste management practices and resource usage are monitored and opportunities to minimise that waste and maximise resource. So waste and resource is very different. So waste is the packaging and the leftovers of something, and the resources they're talking about here are things like water, power and gas, natural resources. So waste management and efficient energy usage, which can be quite easy. Suggestions for improving resource efficiency in your own work area and resource efficiency improvements, and how to do suggestions in writing and face-to-face. So you'll notice throughout these units, we're constantly asking you to pretend that you're in a work environment. If you've never worked before, just use an example from when you've been a customer and something like that has happened, or come to me and I'm more than happy to point you in the right direction of the types of things that you could create. I'm just checking before I go back to screen share that there's no students waiting to come into this unit today. Move into the sun a bit more. Okay, so let's get stuck into the actual heart, the crux of this unit. We're back over here. Okay, so identify the requirements for sustainable work practices. Now, at the beginning of every single unit, it tells you what you're about to learn. Okay, so there's 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, and that's just the parts of this chapter. This is chapter 1. Okay. Company sustainability targets and measures for ensuring sustainable work practices are identified and confirmed. By the end of this chapter, you should be able to understand and apply sustainability in your workplace, discuss sustainability targets and measures with your manager or team leader or supervisor, and identify and confirm targets are achievable. Now I want you to read these sections as you come across them. Sustainability is about using the Earth's resources sparingly to avoid depleting the natural resources we have and maintain an ecological balance within the natural world. This not only means we retain supply of natural resources, it also means that other animals and plants are able to live in their natural environment without losing their habitats or threat of extinction. Although the effects of human habitation on the world are now clearly understood, there is still a need to control and manage how we live to optimise and to minimise the impact or the negative impacts of past and current activities. Many workplaces are seeking to work sustainably to help reduce the amount of waste and pollution that is produced. It is only one way that a business or a community across the world are able to contribute positively. Small changes in how we think, work, and use resources can ultimately lead to a more sustainable way of life. Working sustainably means some of the following: taking care not to overuse natural resources, for example, water, looking at ways that natural resources can be replenished, using resources and only using quality resources, for example, equipment, tools, and cleaning products that last for longer and work more efficiently. Use cleaning agents that are kinder to the environment and less polluting. Looking after and maintaining equipment and tools so that items do not need to be replaced as often. Recycling and reusing as much as possible. Working in a logical manner to ensure resources and time are used efficiently. Having a sustainability target. Organisations and workers seek to reduce their environmental footprint can help achieve this through sustainability targets. Targets can be specific to the workplace and environment and can be used in many areas of business. They provide a means for an organisation to assess how they are doing and whether they are meeting their goals. A target should identify an achievement that needs to be reached. For example, you might have that the company used a certain amount of diesel or a certain amount of different kinds of fuels. And what you want to do is maybe set a goal to say, hey, we want to use less fuel next year. So we're not going to, do little trips in the cars when we could probably carry things. We're not going to leave the car running without needing it to be sitting there running. Targets can be set at achievable levels with milestones in place to help you progress in the right direction. For example, a target may be to reduce the amount of disposable cleaning items that you use. The milestone introduced can be to reduce the disposable cloths down to a certain number in the first 3-month period, followed by reducing more over a 6-month period. Of course, disposable items are essential in some aspects of cleaning, and especially now with the COVID pandemic. Wearing protective disposable gloves, but a target can be developed by assessing both what the item does and how it can be used. It may be that the cleaning tasks can be done in a different order, so the gloves are used more continuously rather than discarding them without the necessary things being done. SMART targets. So I love these because we can use these even in our goals in day-to-day life. So what a SMART target basically stands for, they're often used to help businesses or individuals achieve a particular goal. Helps you with setting and maintaining focus. By using the plan, your organisation can identify goals which are appropriate and possible to achieve. So SMART stands for specific. So you need to be clear on the purpose of your goal and how it can be reached. So you've got the goal of finishing this course, for example, and you might need to set some measurable and achievable targets in relation to that. So measurable needs you to be able to actually measure the achievements or the milestones and when they're going to be met. So if you've got 14 units that need to be done over 26 weeks, it's pretty clear that you need to be doing about 1 to 2 every 2 weeks. Achievable, we have to make sure things are achievable. So saying, you know, I want to lose 50 kilos by Christmas, probably not actually achievable. So you're setting yourself up for failure. In the workplace, I know that a lot of workplaces have a zero harm policy. You know, they've got 3,000 staff members and they want 0 safety incidences. That's not an achievable goal to actually have with that amount of people. So they need to be relevant. You want to identify exactly what successes prove you're meeting your goal, and not see unrelated successes as being part of the original target. So back to the losing weight goal, which a lot of people set, you might not realise that getting enough sleep and getting enough rest and not being very stressed actually contributes to, you know, weight loss. So that would be relevant in tracking that target. Would be, you know, am I getting enough sleep? Am I getting enough exercise? Not just am I losing weight? And bound to time. So the last one's time. We need to set time and dates. That's why we sort of say in the course, you know, you need to have this done by this time, because it means that we're tracking along. Okay. Organisations, oh, have we jumped back up? We've jumped up. Oh, oh, oh. Now we've jumped down too far. Oh, we've got someone, it's got someone coming in. Okay, so Miss Nicole's joining us, and so we are on audio. Yeah, I've got you.
Oh, hello.
Hello. All right, so we're on page.
Oh, I was like, why are you only small in the corner, but you've done that on purpose?
I have. All right, we're on page 12 we're on page 12 of the
activity book.
Learner Guide of 3011.
Yep.
Okay, and we're just going through the content at the moment. So 3011 is environmentally sustainable work practices.
Well, yes.
Okay.
Are we going through the activity book with it, are we?
No, at the moment I was just going through the content, but I'm not actually at an activity yet. So we will when we get to an activity.
Yeah.
All right, so basically we've just gone through a little bit of sustainability, and then we've gone through a few things, nothing major, but we're onto sustainability measures on page 12. So targets are the set achievements that you have recognised, measured and established markers that show you what needs to be done in order to reach your target. Or they're there to guide you along the way. These markers or measures can be set at different points to help you move closer to your overall target. They keep you on the right path and ensure you move towards your target. A measure also takes into consideration the quality or the value of the action. This ensures that you work to an identified standard when meeting your goals. With sustainability targets, a standard may include working ethically to meet your target. For example, reducing the amount of disposable gloves that should be done through ethical means. Workers should not be expected to work longer hours to complete tasks, then require the use of gloves in order to reduce the amount of gloves a worker uses. So it has to be ethical. So it has to be reasonable what they're actually asking you to do. I think at the moment with COVID, it's unlikely anybody is worrying about overusing resources, but we definitely will be paying for that in years to come. Organisational targets and measures are specific for sustainable work practices. Organisational targets and measures for working sustainably should be communicated to you and discussed fully. This is to make sure that what the organisation recognises as being achievable actually will be in practice. This may be discussed with you and your manager or team leader and supervisors and other workmates. You'll need to be aware of the cleaning tasks you need to carry out in order to understand whether the sustainable work practices are feasible. It will be up to you to raise concerns that you may have. So one of the things that I find that they try to do is they cut water, and you know, obviously when we're using water in cleaning, it's actually a definite requirement. It's not something that we kind of sort of need, it's something that we definitely need. So cutting water is a very difficult one. But you need to take into different account things like your working hours, how long you have to perform the task, restrictions with cleaning in a particular environment, the cleaning tasks you need to perform, the equipment and tools you need to use of cleaning agents and water, how you obtain and access resources and prepare for cleaning, and how you dispose of waste items. When your clients, who your clients are and the needs that they have, and the method of entry and security on the premises. Sustainability targets and measures should be made clear to you when you agree to work. Look, I don't think that that's the case. Quite often, we don't know when we go into a cleaning job, and this is best practice, but you won't find deep details on sustainability just openly provided to you. It might be later when you do some training or somewhere in a manual, but I only actually learnt about environmental sustainability when we went for big tenders, not when we were a little cleaning company. Your organisation should assist you in acquiring and maintaining relevant knowledge on sustainability as it applies to cleaning work. They would have, some big companies have training and stuff like that, but most don't. Most it's about just getting in and getting the job done. Okay, so we're on to activity 1A. So we'll find 1A. You with me, Coley?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought you were just.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm still having my first coffee, so I'm with you. I'm just quiet.
That's fine.
But
so it just basically, the first question is, what is meant by working sustainably? And it says 1.1. So when you're looking for these answers, just remember to go and see what they said about that. Don't try to just make it up. That really does not help you.
yeah.
So there it is there. Basically, it says working sustainably. It's about using the Earth's resources sparingly to avoid depletion of natural resources we have, to maintain an ecological balance within the natural world. This also means that we retain a supply of natural resources and that other animals and plants are able to live in their natural environment without losing their habitats and having a risk of extinction. We were driving through a national park yesterday, and there were big signs everywhere that said, please do not collect firewood. And I thought it was really strange because we had just had bushfires recently, and they wouldn't have been as devastating if we hadn't had so much wood on the ground. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be prudent to be taking that wood? And it turns out that the habitats of like 80% of our native animals are logs and wood that are found on the ground. And then if it's not big enough for them to have as a habitat, they will move the piece of wood, and under it will be ants and bugs and things that they can eat. So when we go and take that wood away from them in masses of holidaymakers, we do actually in fact impact
you're affecting
their
wildlife.
habitat. Yes. All right, so question 2, what are targets and measures? That's covered really clearly in that same section. So going back to the learner guide, where it says what targets and measures are. I actually do not have power where I am today. I'm under a little pergola thing in the middle of nowhere. I don't have power, and my laptop's on about 21%, and it was on 40% when we started this conversation. So it's whipping through the juice. So basically, here it is, talks about targets and what targets are. But basically, a target or a goal is a specific achievement that needs to be reached. They need to be set with achievable levels and milestones in place for success. So that's that question there. All of these questions are, again, in the material, and environmental sustainability is not a hard topic to get your head around as long as you understand. The two key differences in Unit 3011 and 3019 is the fact that one talks about environmental sustainability and one talks about refuse or rubbish, recycling, waste. So waste is like the byproduct, and the resource is the actual product itself. So, you know, resources being things like energy, water, power, gas, and the waste being things like, you know, metal, cardboard, biological waste and stuff like that. So, name 4 things you'll need to take into account when determining, and I think that name 4 things you need to take into account when determining organisational targets. I think that's around more around what you're wanting to achieve. You can put, look, you can put the SMART goals there. So this is the things that you can do, specific, so very clear on the purpose, measurable, having physical achievements. But also when it talks about what you need to take into account, there, oh, my screen's jumping everywhere.
Well, I took it from page 12 where it's got dot points there.
Yeah. So here it says you need to take into account these things. So again, my computer's having a bit of a muck up. So being that you're the only student that's come today, are you having any problems with this unit as yet, Nicole?
No, I have I have left a couple that are harder, but I tend to do that where I kind of, you know, breeze through all the ones that are easier, and I leave all the harder ones for right at the end. I don't know if that's a better or a worse way to do it. But, you know, then if I need to come back on it.
I think it's a good way of doing it myself, because you're not then getting caught up, distracted or disheartened on the hard ones. I find that they can kind of slow you down. Once you've smashed through all the easy ones, and you've done 20 questions, if you've only got 3 or 4 or 5 hard ones left, it seems to then be a little bit easier.
Well, you know, so I bring those back to you. Like I kind of leave them, even if it's just, oh, I could do that, but it takes a bit more thinking. And I do all the easy ones, and then I come back and I read them through a couple of times to make sure I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
And then if I get really stuck on it, then I leave and I have a chat with you.